Dorian Blake, a brilliant but eccentric book hunter and self-confessed bibliomaniac, heads the small firm Blake Associates Literary Investigations in San Francisco. From their loft-style office on Clementina Street, Dorian and his teammates track missing manuscripts, authenticate dubious discoveries, and navigate a shadow world of collectors, auction sharks, and occult bibliophiles. Each case is a mystery whose solution hinges on deep book lore, forensic bibliography, and treacherous human motives. Episode 3: The Alexandria Cipher. Fog lies thick over San Francisco's South of Market warehouses, blurring sodium street lamps into dull suns. But inside the third-floor loft of Blake & Associates, the air crackles with silver-bright urgency. Dorian Blake, rare book detective, unapologetic bibliomaniac, paces between leaning towers of quarter-leather bindings while rolling a bronze Hypatia drachma across his knuckles, an old habit he indulges only when a case promises both peril and intellectual fireworks. On the slate-painted wall, a secure video conference flickers. Professor Giles Harrow, owl-eyed behind round spectacles, fills half the screen. The other half shows a sepia photograph of a ragged papyrus fragment sealed inside a perspex sandwich, its edges eaten by centuries like shoreline by tide. From behind twin ultra-wide monitors comes the mellow yet vibrating voice of Liu Jiang, every syllable fizzing with suppressed glee. The sender used triple-layer onion routing through a stolen Kyrgyz.edu domain, but the TIFF's metadata screams lab-grade, cross-polarized illumination, 900 dpi Leica glass, color calibration target in frame. Dorian inhales, half grin, half wolf-bearing fangs. And I can smell the starch sizing from here. Across the room, Mira Patel looks up from her conservation bench where an 18th-century Jesuit catechism lies in clamps, its spine mid-surgery. Her dark brows knit, the way they always do when facts collide with legend. Hypatia of Alexandria, Giles. That Hypatia. Harrow's Cambridge thick voice answers, syllables precise as scalpel blades. Allegedly, yes. The Greek inscription on the verso calls itself a diagram of celestial harmonies and ends with an acrostic spelling, Hypatia. But the real shock is a hidden layer. Ultraviolet reveals a cipher grid faintly pricked beneath the ink, something no catalogue of Alexandrian manuscripts mentions. Just then the freight elevator rattles open. Clara Reyes, field investigator, ex-art crime detective, steps out, wind-tousled, hauling a police evidence crate that still smells of jet fuel. You're all going to want to see what just rode the red-eye from Cairo. She flips the lid, and even Leo, normally unmoved by dead trees, whistles low. Swaddled in acid-free tissue lies the very papyrus from the photo, its fibers the beige of ancient sand, ink a mellow walnut brown cracked like parched riverbed. Air freight revelation. The fragment, no larger than a paperback cover, arrived at SFO under a forged UNESCO transfer manifest. A sharp-eyed customs officer flagged the crate because the declared agrarian soil sample weighed 2 kilos. Inside, cushioned by cedar sawdust, agents found the perspex slab. Calls ricocheted from Homeland Security to SFPD Art Crime, which punted to Clara, closest qualified custodian, pending verification. Now the loft smells faintly of cedar shavings and ozone from the airport X-ray. Dorian taps the perspex. Chain of custody's a sieve. Whoever shipped this wanted it in our hands. But why? Mira slides on nitrile gloves and lifts the artifact to raking light. Faint grid lines emerge, tiny punched dots forming 8 columns by 8 rows, as if the scribe had laid papyrus over a wax tablet template. Professor Harrow hums appreciatively. That grid matches no classical stenography. I suspect a mixed alphabetic numerical cipher, possibly a proto-Polybius square. Leo shakes his head. Hypatia predates Polybius squares by centuries. Harrow chuckles. Ingenious minds anticipate their era, Mr. Jang. Dorian flips the drachma once more, lets it clack onto the oak desktop. Hypatia lectured at the Mouseion until a mob tore her apart in 415 CE. Legend claims she spirited select scrolls out of the library's ruins. If this fragment survived, someone had spent 15 centuries keeping it off every inventory. A sudden ping pops on Leo's dashboard, an encrypted chat bubble, sender alias Serapeum. It lists GPS coordinates 37.8003 north, 122.4587 west, and a single threat: decode before dawn or history burns again. Clara checks a topographic overlay. Land's End Labyrinth, Sutro District. Windy, isolated, no cameras after midnight. Dorian nods once, decisive. Classic drop zone. We have 8 hours. Let's make them count. Race against midnight, code breaking at the loft. Rain begins as a whisper against skylights, crescendos to drumbeats. Leo rigs a multispectral camera. Mira sets up a gentle humidification chamber, a Pyrex casserole atop a reptile tank fogger to relax the papyrus fibers without drowning them. Clara fetches takeout falafel, whose cumin and garlic steam wraps the team like a morale blanket. Under ultraviolet, the indentations bloom cobalt. Leo superimposes a grid on screen, labeling rows alpha through theta, columns 1 to 8. Some squares host single Greek letters, others hold microscopic diagonal pinpricks that seem to shout "ignore me" or "start here" depending on angle. Dorian thinks aloud, pacing. Hypatia excelled in conic sections. What if the cipher path traces an ellipse? Mira counters. Or music theory. Her lectures on the harmony of the spheres survive in Synesius's letters. Harrow emails a scan of a late antique cryptography treatise. Early Christians and pagans alike hid doctrines in acrostics and numeric grids. Time bleeds away, coffee cools. Then Leo squints. Each coordinate containing a diagonal cut aligns with letters whose numeric order in the Greek alphabet is prime, beta 2, gamma 3, zeta 7, and so on. They copy only those letters. Beta, gamma, zeta, iota, lambda, nu, gibberish, until Dorian counts their values. 2-3-7-9-11-13. 9 is not prime. Replace the imposter. 9th prime is 23, letter psi. Substitution yields beta, gamma, zeta, psi, lambda, nu. Still nonsense until Mira suggests bilingual mapping. Hypatia taught in Greek and Coptic. She transliterates to Coptic characters, then maps them to Alexandrian numerals used in astronomical tables. Leo dumps the string into a brute force permutation script. 15 seconds later, 4 Latin words roll across the screen. Nexus incardine subterraneo. Clara reads aloud, voice low. The connection lies in the subterranean hinge. Dorian snaps. Land's End once housed tunnels for the Cliff House Railway. The hinge is literal. Mira adds, Cardine also names the celestial pole. Porphyry called it the cosmic hinge. Dorian grins, adrenaline fizzing. Our puppeteer appreciates wordplay. We solve the riddle on sight. They hand us the next piece. Gear up. Lands. End. Labyrinth. Midnight. The cliff path glistens obsidian under patchy moonbeams. Pacific surf pounds basalt arches like distant cannon. Clara leads, infrared scope sweeping cypress silhouettes for ambush. Leo lugs a slimline pelican case, batteries, satellite uplink, collapsible scanner. Mira cradles the papyrus in a padded sling. Dorian pockets a jeweler's loop and a moleskin for field notes. The stone labyrinth, a modern homage to Chartres, sits empty, its pebble circuitry silvered by mist. At the center, chained to a survey marker, waits a weatherproof file box. A tea light flickers inside, the only heartbeat for miles. Clara kneels, tension coiled, and picks the padlock in 10 heartbeats. The lid yawns open to reveal a silvery cylinder the size of a travel mug, engraved with the same Hypatia acrostic. A parchment tag instructs simply, "Turn the hinge." Leo twists. The cylinder splits with a soft exhale, exposing a rolled vellum strip inked in blood-red capitals flanked by numeric columns. The instant night air kisses vellum. An LED in the base blinks amber. Mira. Pressure sensor. Dorian. Or tamper alarm. The LED blinks faster. Leo's pupils dilate. Leo. Time charge. Acid or EMP. Clara. Back! Now! They dive. A muted pop releases acrid vapor that spirals upward, devouring cryptic letters like moths. Mira, coughing, slaps on a respirator, plucks a thumbnail-sized scrap drifting free. 6 digits, 371609, before the rest dissolves to lace. Dorian consults a geolocation app. The digits refine to a hillside in Oakland, just below the Mormon temple, once the site of a 19th century cemetery relocated but never fully emptied. Subterranean hinge, indeed. He pockets the scrap. The hunt continues. Midnight drive, Oakland hillside. The city sleeps beneath sheets of wet asphalt shimmer. Their unmarked van crawls up Lincoln Avenue, high beams slicing drizzle. At a fenced construction site, future condos, present mud, they park behind a dozing backhoe. Security floods strobe across rebars like skeletal fingers. Beneath a plywood deck covering a sinkhole lies the GPS point. Clara works bolt cutters. Chain clatters away. They heave the deck. A breath of limestone dampness exhales from darkness. A steel ladder drops 30 feet to a brick-lined chamber where a rusted iron door tilts from shattered hinges. The subterranean cardine. Leo's portable flood lamp reveals neon graffiti ghosts and rat spore, and a modern aluminum briefcase perched atop a marble sarcophagus. Keypad, biometric scanner, indicator blinking green. Digital readout, input 6-figure code. Mira whispers the digits, 371609. Dorian keys them. The latch snicks. Inside, a slim codex bound in albino fish skin, folios papyrus thin yet modern, printed with photostats of a longer scroll. Nestled beside it lie a burner phone and a voice recorder. Mira presses play. A distorted woman's voice, soft Egyptian accent, fills the crypt. Hypatia's legacy has been pawned among greedy men for too long. Prove your devotion to knowledge, complete the cipher, and reveal the concordance. Fail, and the fragment dies in fire. Coordinates for Alexandria scroll on the phone. A 24-hour countdown begins. Leo exhales as if surfacing from depth. International chessboard unlocked. Dorian answers without hesitation. We fly before sunrise. Pack light. Double insurance. Alexandria, the modern Corniche. 60 hours and 4 layovers later, the team stands on Alexandria's Corniche, sea air heavy with diesel, salt, and roasting sesame. They check into the Belle Epoque Metropole Hotel, where balconies rust in romantic decline. Harrow, patched in as a hollow conference over the lobby's flaky Wi-Fi, has spent the flight stitching the photocollated scroll. A diagram of intersecting circles, lunar nodes, annotated in Hypatia's hand if the marginal numerals match 5th century ductus. Harrow's voice trembles with awe. The concordance might predict eclipses through a Saros cycle, rivaling the Antikythera mechanism. This could rewrite the timeline of Hellenistic astronomy. Mira replies dryly, "No wonder our contact weaponized preservation." Word on the antiquities grapevine spreads. Billionaire broker Damien Solomon will unveil a philosopher queen's lost wisdom tonight at his villa outside the city. Invites are blood ink scarce. Clara calls old Interpol favors for 4 press badges. Leo forges NFC lanyards to spoof Solomon's guest database. Dusk finds them mingling among oligarchs under carved cedar ceilings, date-infused cocktails sweating in crystal. In the vaulted gallery, flanked by men with Tava rifles, stands a 5-meter papyrus scroll. Outer layers scorched, inner text radiant. A gold-lettered placard proclaims the Hypatia Codex on celestial harmonics. Dorian's pulse tightens into metronome clicks. The inks slope, the serifs, the faded rulings. They echo the fragment in perspex. Mira, under guise of straightening her headscarf, flicks on a concealed UV penlight. Ultramarine stitches glow, 20th century nylon, not ancient flax. She whispers, palimpsest restoration. Someone grafted genuine bits onto blank antique stock. Dorian's eyes narrow. A doppelgangered relic. Our fragment is the missing heart. Solomon, tall, silver-templed, cologne like bergamot and power, announces a sealed bid auction, reserve price 30 million. Clara surveys exits. She spots Riley Boone, yes, out on conditional bail, schmoozing a Qatari sheikh, Gulf-streamed grin in full wattage. Cross, double cross. Later, on Solomon's rooftop terrace, awash in sodium haze, Boone finds Dorian, palms a flash drive. Boone murmurs, insurance. Complete the cipher schema, and I'll leak Solomon's tax haven caches. Refuse, and a deep fake drops of you bribing Cairo customs. Dorian's laugh is low. Blackmail clings to you like cheap polyester. Boone shrugs. Transparency, Blake. We're brothers in bibliomania, just morally asymmetrical. Before Dorian retorts, 3 men in black tactical gear vault the parapet, weapons suppressed but lethal, faces masked. Panic ripples through moneyed guests. The intruders snatch the codex, sealed in a climate-controlled tube, and rappel into the alley, where a van fishtails toward the desert highway. Clara sprints, leaps onto the rope, and slides as though gravity is an optional upgrade. Dorian, Mira, and Leo commandeer Solomon's Maybach, key fob quietly cloned earlier by Leo's RFID wand, and the chase screams down the Corniche, neon blurring into comet streaks. At 140 kilometers per hour on the Metro Road, Leo overrides traffic signals, freezing civilian lanes. The thieves veer onto a service track that cuts toward the Roman catacombs of Com el Shokafa. Sand geysers beneath tires, the mansion lights vanish behind dunes. Catacomb showdown. Helical stone stairs plunge into a hippodrome where frescoes of Anubis in a Roman toga decay into pastel ghosts. Clara shadows the kidnappers, transmitting whispered coordinates through a bone conduction mic. Dorian and Mira follow, handguns holstered but ready. Leo remains topside, piloting a drone that feeds thermal images to Clara's monocle display. 2 levels down, they discover the thieves kneeling around a portable scanner, siphoning the codex page by page to a satellite uplink. Marine battery packs wire to slim cylinders. Thermite, countdown LEDs pulsing like doomsday hearts. The leader, Kefir, wrapped tight, barks orders in German peppered with Coptic. Mira's eyes go wide behind safety goggles. Thermite will ignite at 2500 Celsius. Nothing survives. She angles her flashlight. Timer reads 90 seconds. Clara lunges, disarms one guard. Dorian tackles the leader, yanking away the Kefir. The face revealed is Evelyn Archer, the Bancroft curator who first guided them. Dorian breathes, stunned. Evie. Evie's eyes blaze. Knowledge wants to be free. Solomon would imprison it behind bulletproof glass. Burn the forgeries, share the scans. Truth wins. Mira severs power cables to one thermite pack, the other accelerates. 50 seconds. Leo's voice crackles over comms. Egyptian police, bribed by Solomon, will arrive in 3 minutes, and they are not coming to rescue librarians. Dorian pleads, Evie, help us secure the original fragment. We'll digitize open access through the Library of Congress Creative Commons license. Swear it. Evie wavers. Memories flicker. Late-night Bancroft debates about gatekeeping versus open science. Clara adds, give us the drive. No auction, no private hoarders. We all walk out before this place melts. 20 seconds. Mira's voice, calm as surgical steel, reminds Evie of conservation triage. Save the unique artifact, then the data, then the container. Evie's shoulders slump, she disarms the remaining detonator. Together they smother magnesium powder with sand, heartbeat hammering in ears. Sirens echo above. Dorian swaddles the codex tube. Clara zip-ties the mercenaries. Evie wipes the satellite uplink, then floods the data to a public torrent. In seconds, seed nodes sprout worldwide, insurance and liberation entwined. Resolution, San Francisco. A week later, the loft glows with lamplight, aromatic with cardamom-heavy chai and furniture wax. On the main table, the stabilized papyrus fragment rests beside rescued scroll sections, exhaling the faint scent of Nile reeds and myrrh. Professor Harrow, this time in person, turns slowly around a holographic reconstruction, spinning in mid-air like an astrolabe. The concordance, an eclipse prediction table accurate to within minutes for 2 centuries around Hypatia's life, a computation that will nudge Kepler's fame a notch sideways. Harrow's voice trembles. She encoded a prime-indexed Polybius square beneath devotional geometry. It's as if she hid calculus in plainchant. Tears silver his lashes. Decades of scholarship validated in 4K resolution. Mira reports that Evie's viral upload already prompts astronomers to correct late Roman eclipse records. The open-source math community dubs it the Hypatia dataset. University press offices scramble like startled pigeons. Telegram chimes. Charles McAllister sends a bottle of 80-year-old port, his attempt at contrition for the recent Twain fiasco. Even Riley Boone, now cooling heels in an Interpol holding suite, mails a postcard. Sell the movie rights. Route royalties to my commissary. Clara pours port into mismatched teacups. Blake and Associates have no crystal flutes. She toasts to hinges, cosmic, subterranean, and bureaucratic. When one burns, another archive opens. Laughter breaks tension. Leo etches a QR code onto the perspex with a laser engraver linking to a high-res 3D model of the fragment. Immutable blockchain provenance, he says. No more midnight ciphers. Well, maybe fewer. Dorian steps onto the fire escape balcony, night fog coiling along the embarcadero like spectral scrolls. He flips the bronze Hypatia coin. It lands owl side up in his palm. Ink fades, papyrus cracks. But ideas flicker eternal, like the lighthouse that once crowned this bay. He pockets the coin, already attuned to some distant rustle of future intrigue, and somewhere inside the darkened loft, a stack of unanswered emails pings like impatient metronomes. The Codex Chronicles turn their next inexorable page.